Hi and welcome to this first look of the TX RZ3100 flagship AV receiver from Onkyo. And being at the top of our range, it has all of the things that you would need it to have to be able to accurately reproduce the content as the artist intended. With Dolby Atmos decoding and DTS-X processing, you have access to the very latest sound formats at the very highest quality. Not forgetting the THX Select 2 certification, which makes sure when you're listening to a movie, you are listening to it as the artist intended. Now the 3100 carries on with the same visual aesthetics as the other models within the range. It's got the same simplified clean lines with a drop down door that holds all of the less commonly used buttons, so you have a much less distractful view when you're looking at your AVR. Also, the 3100 has the AccuEQ room calibration with the added Accu Reflex technology. So this makes sure all the speaker levels are correct, all the timings from each speaker are correct, and that the environment has been EQ'd out of the soundtrack. The next thing I want to show you is the insides and how well they're built. The first thing you'll see is the massive power supply, which feeds everything inside, all of the processing and all of the amplification. And talking about processing, the 3100 actually uses multiple DACs for multiple channels. So we have one 32-bit DAC which purely does the left and right channels, and then there's another multi-channel DAC which takes care of the processing for all of the other channels. And then we have multiple DSP engines controlling all of the processing globally. And then the final part of the processing that I'd like to cover is the VLC, which is a vector linear shaping circuit, and this is used across all of the channels to make sure that the signal path is completely noise free. Well, now I think it's about time that we actually cover the rear panel of the RZ3100. So on the back of the 3100 we've got an RS-232 port along with an IR in port, so it allows for control systems. There's also a 12-volt trigger out, and as this is a receiver we've got an FM and AM tuner built in. Then running along the whole of the bottom of the AVR is the channels for the amplification, and inside there's actually 11 channels, each one rated at a massive 200 watts for each channel, and they're all digital. But if you don't actually run Dolby Atmos or DTS-X, you can use this as a 5.1 channel receiver and then have a powered Zone 2 and Zone 3 all built into one unit. Or alternatively, if you don't actually have any uses for the extra zones, you can bi-amp the main left and right channel. There's also 5 digital inputs, 3 optical, 2 coaxial, all of which are assignable. There's a USB input, an Ethernet cable, which I'll discuss in a bit, and we've got pre-outs for all the main channels. And I'm going to go into these in a little bit more depth shortly. We've also got some legacy connections. There's 6 analog inputs. These are all assignable. The 7th one is the phono, and that's fixed. There's 2 composite video inputs, along with 2 component video inputs, and these are also assignable. And then we've got pre-outs for the Zone 2 and Zone 3 if you wish to use them. But if we hop back to the pre-outs just for a moment, I need to explain a couple of bits to you. Now the RZ3100 is a little bit different, because if you decide after having the 3100 you want to upgrade the amplification because you're going to a bigger system, bigger speakers, bigger room, and you want more power, you can actually do this really easily. So then, I just want to give you an example of what's possible with the 3100 and the fact that there's a consistent upgrade path which is possible. So in the picture we can see the 3100 driving just 2 speakers, and let's say it's time that you want to upgrade. So normally you'd switch out the AV receiver because that's all you can do, but because of the pre-outs you can actually add a 2-channel amplifier. Then all you would do is disconnect the speaker cables from the 3100 and add it to the power amp, and then connect the 3100 to the power amp on the stereo left and right, and then you just rerun the mic setup and balance everything up. But then what you can do is you can go into the setup menu, go down to number 7 and select miscellaneous, and then you select option 3, which is the preamp mode, and then here you're given the option to be able to switch off the amplifiers within the RZ3100. But then we can take it another stage further if you want to. We can add external amplification to every single channel available, and this means all of the amplifiers within the RZ3100 are redundant, and there's no need to have them powered on and consuming your electricity bill when there's no need to. So we go back into that menu, and all we need to do is scroll through and select all. And then the 3100 actually becomes a true preamp because none of the amplification circuitry is on. So that just leaves us two more things to cover with the 3100, and the networking side of things will be one of them. Now the 3100 is equipped with a hardwire RJ45 connection and dual antenna wireless, and we've made connecting to a wireless network even simpler for you. When you go into the Wi-Fi setup part of the menu system, you can actually use your iOS device to connect to the wireless network. You'll actually see the RZ3100 come up as an AirPlay speaker on your iOS device, and it's just a simple case of selecting this, and then that will take you to the next page where you can actually make sure all of the credentials are correct, and then through this particular procedure it will connect the 3100 to your wireless network. And actually, now that you're connected to the World Wide Web, there's a whole host of services that become available to you on the 3100. The 3100 has a massive amount of streaming capability, for example using Flare Connect or DTS Play-Fi, and then when you couple that with the music download streaming services, this machine really is incredible. And then that leaves us to talk about the video circuitry. So we've got 7 HDMI ins on the back, plus 2 outs, plus another in on the front of the unit, and the secondary out can actually be used as a Zone 2 HDMI output. And we've catered for all of the video standards, so you can get pristine Ultra HD 4K video signal as the artist intended. So there you have it, the best possible picture rolled up with the best possible sound in our flagship TX RZ3100 AV receiver by Onkyo. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really makes a difference. You can track us down on Twitter and find us on Facebook. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.